Good morning. First of all, can I say this? Go Thunder. Go Thunder. I think we're actually going to get it. We had some really good friends that went to the game last night, and they said it was overcharge, crazy energy. So if you've got someone, the man upstairs that cares about the Oklahoma City Thunder, maybe send some energy that way. So as you can see what we have on the screen, need to clear my throat. Yo, got to clear my throat. Don said he's going to be giving updates this week. Well, some other things came out over the weekend too. Like this, I see you. I was watching the riots in LA. I finally had to turn it off and go outside and get in the pool. I was like, enough of that. You crazy ass people, go home or do what you're supposed to do. Woo, one thing after another. Well, let's take a second and tell everyone good morning. Missed everyone over the weekend. Say hi to your neighbor. All right, I am going to start with the private investigator that received a tip over the weekend. Now, before people start yelling, oh, baloney, that didn't happen. I wasn't on the phone call. I wasn't part of the email. I didn't see any of it. And he has been a private investigator for a long time. So before we jump to a conclusion and say he's making all this up because, crime is slow, so no one's hiring him, let's just have a little bit of an open mind. Okay, here we go. First thing that was asked, well, I shouldn't say first thing, a lot of things were asked, is did he turn this tip over to the TBI? He's saying he's going to do it today. He must not know that they answered the phone 24/7. Remember, if you're listening to this, active in chat, you catch the replay, however you do it. The appropriate number to call is 800 TBI find. But he said yesterday, some have wondered about me notifying TBI of the tip I received yesterday. Rest assured, I intend to contact TBI tomorrow when they open up. I received the tip over the weekend. He's got the director. He's got the number. He knows who he's going to call. So we'll leave it at that. All right. He puts his phone number up. Summer Wells, I know what you did. Now, he's not talking about Summer Wells. He's talking almost third party, saying, turn your brother in and they will go easy on you. Now, what brothers can we be talking about? You can remain anonymous. Call me at, he puts his phone number, it's public. And he said, this is not about Summer's brothers. Okay. Then he says, because of the sudden involvement in Summer Wells' case, I've decided to expedite my pursuit of a PI agency and PI license in Tennessee. A burglary turned abduction. Is this what Jason's thinking? Or what Jason was told? If you want, I can send him the link. He's been on the show before and see what he has to say. Okay, let's get right here. Summer Wells. He said, literally just received a tip from someone, an anonymous caller from Rogersville, Tennessee. He didn't trust his information with anybody else. Thank you, sir, for your trust in me and for the tip on Summer Wells. Stay tuned, y'all. Woo, baby. Okay, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to send him the link and see if he is busy and he can come up. All right, give me just a second. Just a moment. Let's see, message. You think I would know how to use Facebook by now? I'm going to put in there. Can you please come on my show? We are live now. Thank you for talking about Summer Wells. All right, let's see if he sees it. Okay, he was just recently involved in another case. So let's look at this.
That closely, and we're grateful that Elisa is home. Now, investigators say there are warning signs that they look out for in a missing teenager case. Our Jonathan May joining us live now in the newsroom. Jonathan, what are you hearing from those experts?
Well, Lindsay, after talking with a private investigator with 16 years of experience, they tell me social media is a key way to look for missing teenagers.
Because they're not.
Okay, that's him. That's Jason Jensen. He's the one that this tip came into. I got to check to see if he saw my message. I'm very perplexed as into what brothers he's talking about. And remember when he said burglary turned abduction with a question mark, I think he's questioning social media. Like, has anyone else heard this? And look, I'm not vouching for the guy. I wasn't on the phone call. I didn't check the email. I didn't get any sort of Facebook instant message. Now, I did get an email from someone in Rogersville over the weekend. I actually invited the person to come on panel that sent me all of the different clips from the Facebook page of Jason Jensen's. Verified that it is true and it is legit. Now, this person acted like he has been in our channel quite a bit, had shoulder surgery, so hasn't been on the up and up with Summer's case. But he is saying that this is legit. It makes me wonder if this wasn't the person that contacted Jason. That's just how my crazy mind works. Remember, we're talking about a totally different case right here with, hang on, he said, he just responded, hang on. He said, thank you for the invite, but the timing isn't good for me. I'm at the grocery store. Hold on. Very rarely do we have it, but we have breaking news. Please hold. I have to play the music. I very rarely have breaking news. This just in from the CLL news desk. He just responded to me. He said, thank you for the invite, but the timing isn't good for me. I'm at the grocery store. Well, I don't know how much stuff he has to buy, but we're going to be live and shit for a little bit. So I'm going to go ahead and reply to him and say, no problem. You can talk. How about this? You can talk in the store. Anybody else ever talk in the store? Huh. Well, it might not be a proper conversation to have in the store. All right, so let's go back to his most recent news interview.
Well, Lindsay, after talking with a private investigator with 16 years of experience, they tell me social media is a key way to look for missing teenagers.
Because they're not signing on. They're not active with their friends. They're off the digital radar. And then that helps law enforcement realize, okay, they're.
Okay, River, I figured it was you. River said, hey, Brooks, I sent the email this weekend, but I promise I have no idea about the tip he received. I just saw the post on Facebook. Oh, okay. I thought maybe you were the one that gave the tip. I apologize, but you can come up. You live right there in Rogersville. Let me drop the link. And remember, I just assumed I wasn't accusing you of anything. And even if you did send the email, you're certainly not doing anything wrong, because Summer Wells is still missing. And this weekend will be 4 years unless she reappears in the next few days, the next week.
May be something to the story.
A private investigator for 16 years now, Jason Jensen helps Utah families look for their missing loved ones.
Always the first person you should contact is 911, get the police involved, get an open case going.
He tells me law enforcement agencies take different approaches. I asked him, when does a runaway teen become a missing persons case?
Law enforcement tends to be slow reactive to that type of a case because there's no reason to worry. It's like, oh, he's probably just, hanging out with his buddies, gaming in someone's basement. He'll pop up in a few days.
Now, on the other hand,
when it's a female that may be vulnerable to exploitation, or there's, known communications with adults that are luring that type of a child from the home, then there's real danger there, because we don't know if they actually met up with one of those individuals.
Now, I reached out to the FBI. They tell me they help local investigators with resources such as accessing digital data and devices to help what they call challenging investigations. More on this story on ABC4 News.
Now, the missing teen they were talking about actually was found. Well, she found herself in Colorado Springs, Colorado, and she went to the police, and now she has been reunited with her family. I hope they never allow her to use the internet ever again. I hope. And the people she was communicating with are in jail. So good job on her and good job on the police. River Slick, you can unmute yourself now, my friend.
Hey, how are you doing?
Oh, pretty good, hon. How are you?
I'm doing good, doing good. They're putting in a new air conditioner right now, so my dogs may lose their crap, and hopefully not, but
That's what I'm talking about. What happened to your air conditioner?
just years and years of, wear and tear.
Well, we use them a lot, do we not? Hell, I've got
Oh,
one right now. I try to wait till my birthday to use the air conditioner and just use fans.
yeah.
It's been way too humid. Are you going to have to get a whole new unit?
Yeah, we went ahead and got a whole new unit. We've had to have it fixed so many times. We just gave in.
I'm about right there with our dishwasher, I'm telling you. All right, so talk to me about Summer Wells. What do you think about all the things that came out over the weekend?
I was shocked by that.
Oh, me too. I mean, for one, Dawn said I'll be giving updates this week.
Yeah, I saw that you had posted on your, I saw that on your channel coming up, and I thought, wow, this is pretty interesting. So that's why I sent you the email with the Facebook post, because I thought surely she's seen this, but just to be safe.
Now, I do not think that Jason Jensen has anything at all to do with the case of Summer Wells being missing. But do you find it coincidental that he is based out of Utah?
That really caught me off guard when I looked, because I Googled the number, which I'm sure everybody did. But when I Googled that number, I was like, oh, well, that's an interesting little tidbit.
For real. Tam here said, Brooks, can you tell us what new information is out? No, I can't, because they're teasing us. Putting the carrot in front of the donkey to lead it to the stable. That's what we have going on right here. You have Don saying he has an update, and you have Jason Jensen saying that he has a tip that involves two brothers, and he's encouraging one brother to turn the other one in. Now, you live in Rogersville, River Slick, and don't get yourself in trouble. What brothers could he be talking about?
That's something I'm going to have to dig into. I was wondering myself, does Fred, does he have a brother?
I'm thinking maybe somebody might be confused about Fred and Andy, thinking they're brothers as opposed to cousins.
Right.
Now, some people brought up Chad Arnold and his brother.
I'll have to dig into that and check and see what I can find out. Nose round. Because I think I was a little confused. For some reason, I was thinking Fred had a brother, but I don't know enough about him either.
He might. I'm not invited to their family reunions. So
Me either. I might go if I was invited, though. That would be pretty interesting.
Well, and it's also interesting that Ziggy and Fred are no longer on YouTube.
I saw that. Yeah.
And so what's going on? I mean, a few months ago, give or take, Ziggy was talking about some Netflix documentary, and she seemed to be a little butthurt that she wasn't going to be a part of it. I don't know why she'd want to be. I'm being honest. I don't know why she'd want to be. I mean, I question why she would want to marry Fred. It just kind of seems like he might be a good old boy, but it kind of seems like you're taking on a lot of problems there.
Yeah, that's a lot of baggage. Not, that's on her. That's her playground, but that'd be a lot of baggage to take on. And he had just come out of a relationship or something too, honey.
Who, him and Laura? Oh yeah. Other people are raising their kids, the whole 9 yards. It's very, very sad. Very sad. Cat's Hodgepodgery said maybe Chad was going to steal stuff, but saw Summer and plans changed. Exactly. Well, let's get to Dawn. I think I've spent enough time on the private investigator. I really do. But here's another thought. Cat OG said, please tell me it's not Marlena's brother. Now, we know when Marlena was on Prayer Garden, she alluded to something that possibly happened to Summer when she spent, I'll just say, a few days at the Wells compound. Okay? It's been speculated about for, almost 4 years. Now, it was a few days after Grandis dropped off her daughter that possibly she's the one that called CPS. Remember, no one's accusing. We're having a conversation saying, who could it be? Because I believe 100% Jason got this tip. Whether there's any concrete to it, I don't know. And he doesn't know until they get through it. Hell no. We hear all kinds of stuff, do we not?
Absolutely.
So you have CPS that shows up on June 14th. That would have been a Monday. Was a Monday in 2021. I loved a comment we had in here several months ago saying maybe they were coming back so quick because they didn't get to see Summer. You see, if you call in a tip about, I'm going to go ahead and say SA, from someone on the property, and this SA has happened to a little girl, then they're going to want to see another little girl on the property. And if they didn't make contact with Summer, then they're definitely going to want to see Summer. Because as you remember, Dawn said to Clyda Trent, even though Lisa K. Ruitz says that's not true, and other people, that's not true. So the old lady just made something up just to fuck with people. No, she didn't. No, she was told this by Dawn. Okay, she has talked to authorities that he mentioned they were coming back to do what's called a body map on Summer. Lo and behold, we have June 15th, 2021. We got old Bum Knee Grandis. Bum Knee Grandis. Got to take her to the emergency room. Got to pick up Hunter. Got to pick up Hunter. Okay? Hippie House, Warriors Park, you name it. Really busy day. And then they're home. And then, lo and behold, Summer is missing. So we will see if this person is connected to the Wells or not. It's going to be, I have a feeling it's going to shock us when it comes out. Big time. All right, so let's look at this. If you look at your screen, old Don, he took to the Facebook this week. Seems that Timmy gave him a password. He said, our eldest son, Josie, he has always looked after his siblings. Wonderful young man. The timing of this gives me pause because we know on Tennessee Kids Belong, the website, Josie did an interview to get adopted. How is this not illegal? I don't live there. Let me know, River.
That I don't know. I was surprised myself. The little bit that I've looked into it, apparently some other states do this too with available for adoption kids. They put them. I don't know. It kind of reminds me of an animal shelter in a way. You know.
Mm-hmm.
I just didn't understand that myself. I don't think they should do that.
Well, no, that's actually common. We used to have something here in Tulsa that was called I'm a Waiting Child. It would come on every Thursday. However, the parents that gave up their rights weren't allowed to do anything like this.
Well, yeah, I thought there was a gag order.
I thought there was a gag order too, and I didn't think. It seems to me that Don is somehow trying to bait Josie into talking to him. He never reaches out directly to Waylon or Wyatt, but it's always Josie, Josie, Josie. He got in trouble because he was talking to Josie about Summer, and so his visits became supervised, and that made Don mad. Now, if the one rule is don't talk to your kids about Summer, particularly Josie, is what Don said, I wasn't there, and they put a gag order, then what's he doing? Are they going to say Tim's doing it? I don't know.
I don't either, but wonder why, why haven't they approached him about that? Why hasn't Ellie or anybody approached him about that if they're supposed to be a gag order? And then here you're posting stuff under your name, whether it's Tim or not.
I can tell you right now what it is. It's called Intimidation 101.
Maybe because he's the oldest and he would have a clearer memory of stuff. And
I think it has to do with what he was accused of by Marlena. And then Summer went missing right afterwards.
Yep. Yeah, that's crazy to me.
It is Intimidation 101. I don't see why he's doing this, and I really don't want my mind to go where it's going to go, because things are actually really adding up right now. Because he's always wanted to talk to Josie. The only reason I'm saying Josie's name is because his own daddy is saying it. So this is what we saw last week.
Hi, I'm Josie and I'm 13 years old. To play basketball, to play video games. I like the outside. I like biology. I used to play basketball a couple of times, but I like country music. I like drag racing. I play Fortnite. I used to play a little bit of Apex, then I stopped. But I'm gonna play Fortnite. And computer science.
You had your own TikTok or YouTube channel. What would it be about?
Gaming.
You could have all the animals you wanted. What would you have?
Dog or some type of fish.
You know, poor kid.
Bless his heart.
I don't know what happened at that house. Marlena, when she spoke to PG, and it had already been rumored before, I believe on Lips channel and a few others, about something highly inappropriate that happened. I have to watch. I've got to give like Band-Aid statements considering it's YouTube.
Right.
A situation between one of the Wells boys, I'll just put it that way, and Marlena's daughter. Okay, so this was, I guess like
That was a little bit before they took a trip to Utah or something, wasn't it?
Utah was a year before. Don took
was
me
it?
to Utah with him a year before because he said he was getting to that age and he wanted to spend time with him.
Oh.
Yeah, so they got back in October of 2020. All shit hits the fan. Jose's there. Candace has been partying all summer. She threw some shit on Facebook trying to sell the property. She's such a realtor. Did you see that? 11 acres and a house for 70 grand. Yeah.
Right.
Oh, she did that, huh? Yeah, she did. She put that on Facebook. I'll have to find the clip.
Wow.
And so the only people that can find the connection to this tip and the Wells is going to have to be the TBI.
What makes you feel happy?
Just having fun.
How do you show people that you love them?
I show them respect.
How do you stay hopeful during hard times?
Just like not try to think about it. I try to walk away.
What are you most proud of yourself for?
Not easily getting mad.
Okay, so this really set a lot of you back. I had a lot of comments about this. When Josie was asked, what are you most proud of? And he said, not getting mad. That's not something typical for a child that's about to be 16. They don't brag on themselves about not getting mad. Again, no one here is picking on Josie. He obviously has been to counseling and hopefully it continues.
What's the best advice anybody's given you?
Just walk away. Just walk away like when someone's like trying to get to you, stuff like that.
Some people have speculated that the whole, like he said, what's the best advice you've been given? Oh, just walk away. Don't let people get to you. So I'm just assuming he had some issues somewhere.
Yeah, it sounds like they must be working on that with him in counseling.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And that's good.
What is something that most people don't know about you that you want to make sure the world does know?
I don't talk much.
Is it hard for you to open up to people?
At first, yeah, but after I started getting to know them, it's not hard.
What do you want to do when you grow up?
I'd become a biologist
What do they work on?
on animals and like how we live together, stuff like that.
What are some things that you picture doing with the family?
Hang out, watch TV, talk.
Tara said he's in a group home. Well, don't tell Lisa K. Ruiz that. I tried to tell her that years ago. I tried to tell her that damn years ago. And she just kept arguing that she knew exactly where he was. And I'm like, well, that's scary as hell if you know. All right, let's get back to Don's Facebook updates. He says, nothing can separate us from the love of God and family. Well, you can actually separate yourself from God's love if you're a shithead. Separating you from your family has happened. And that, again, comes from the authorities because you're a shithead. And of course, look at that. White Boy Radio just loves this shit. He's got Ephesians on there. Okay, that's great. That's great. And then he puts up Donwell's family official videos. And then we get to this. I'll be giving updates this week. So he's doing an interview. I'm assuming it's going to be on WJHL. That looks like Ansley Daniels. I haven't seen the back of her head, but it kind of, with the hair and everything, looks like it could be Ansley. And then we have this beauty queen right here. Look at that. Peeking around Don as he's getting his picture taken with a t-shirt. Don't you love it? Look at that.
And is that Ansley? Who is that?
The one peeking around Dawn with no bra? That's Kim.
Oh, I was looking at it through my phone and I was like, who is that? Why would anybody want to pose in a picture with him?
No, that's old Can't. Look at that.
Oh, wow.
Goodness. She shows up with slicked out hair. Does she even have shoes on? No, she's barefoot. She's barefoot in the park. And there's Dawn giving an interview.
Oh, man.
You have got to be kidding me.
Mm.
When I saw that, I'm like, do you have no respect for anything? You got a beer gut hanging out, and you got 2 tattered torpedoes hanging out your damn shirt that probably belongs to Dawn.
She needs to post that on her, what was it, the Amazon list that they had going on? She needs to post in a brassiere. Post that she needs that.
She's wearing some of Dawn's basketball shorts. She wears that all the time. I call this her coin pusher outfit, Remember how she used to show up to the gas station there in Rogersville all the time and play coin pusher?
And play the coin pusher.
Yeah, and everybody was getting so mad because she needed more money to buy dog food. And they said, well, hold on. You got all that money from Daisy's channel and you were at the coin pusher for, good 4 or 5 hours playing coin pusher.
Throw those quarters in there.
Mm-hmm. Goodness. All right. So he alerted us to go to his channel. Get ready to have your socks knocked off.
They came like shadows in the night, no sound.
No way Dawn and Candace made this. This is something that sounds more like Robin or Tim made. I don't know.
Yeah.
Boots left prints in the devil's ground. They tore the laughter from our home so wide, left us with whispers and a hollow pride. The sun rose glinting on the empty street. Toy cars abandoned, no patter of feet.
It says AI understands. AI song about the Wells children.
AI understands.
Does anyone really believe that CPS unfairly took their children? I'll start with River because she's in the hot seat.
I believe that it was definitely founded. I'm just not sure why it didn't happen sooner. But just my opinion, of course.
Isn't that what most people say? Why didn't it happen before? Why didn't they do something when they pulled up on June 14th?
Exactly. And why do they give them a heads up? Just, go. I never have understood that. They shouldn't give a heads up. There's a case open, period. You don't need a heads up. You need to just go.
Right. And it seems to me that they couldn't produce summer and they wanted to come back. I wasn't there, wasn't part of the convo. Forget that. I don't vacation on Ben Hill Road, so no way I could have been there. So when Dawn says to Clyda they want to do some sort of body map on Summer, and then
that's a scary statement.
That's a damn scary statement. You would think people would be smart enough to produce your child ASAP or get a lawyer. You got two.
Exactly. I would be scared to death if anything like that was ever, if that statement was ever made about one of my kids. I would take my kid to them. I wouldn't have anything to worry about. But I mean, that's a scary statement. If they're requesting a body map and you're worried about it or concerned in any way about it, I wouldn't be concerned if they checked my kid's body, did a body map, whatever that is.
I personally wouldn't want my child violated in any way. I
wouldn't want them to go through it, but I certainly wouldn't, I would make sure that they had the access they needed to make sure they understood that there wasn't anything to be worried about in my home.
And that's why I would be like, well, let me get an attorney and we'll go through this.
Yeah, because anytime it's anything to do, period, anymore with law enforcement or CPS, that would be the first thing that you would want to do.
Now, you live there. You live there. V. Oakley says when you can't produce the child, you make her go missing. Remember, we have a disclaimer. This is opinion only. Does it seem like the sequence of events points to she went missing purposely from someone?
Oh, in my opinion, yeah. I mean, that was just too convenient. And the whole story, it's just a mess. Now, you're going to tell me that she watched that child even walk in? That's crap. You know that. I mean, if your mother lived right behind you and your child says, I'm going to the house, you're not going to say, oh, okay, and walk them in.
Hell no. Nobody does that. You know how many times I've walked my children into the house? Hell no. You know where the door's at.
Exactly.
Unless it's a baby that can't walk, no.
Then that would be completely understandable. But yeah, you're going to say, oh, okay, and then let the child run to the house. Unless it was on a different property or something. But they were 10 feet away?
Room is, but this is their own house.
Exactly. Yeah, the whole story, and to me, I don't know, the thing that's always raised red flags with me is how many times he has mentioned that shed. The shed always, he used to bring that up all the time, and to me, there's just something janky with that shed.
Well, we know that was the one place that Candace wouldn't let Chris McDonough go. And Chris McDonough's had a hard-on for that shed for a long time. Let's take a second and welcome our new members. Look at this. Well, first off, look at that. We got Kat, member for 42 months, going on 5 years. And Kat still takes my phone calls. Angie Baby, member for 28 months. Panda Bear has become a new YouTube member. Look at that, Real Rockin' Robin. And look at that, there's Hey Jude. Tell you what, not a lot of channels talk about Summer, but we do. Because she breaks my heart. She absolutely breaks my heart. And we can all do our own deductive reasoning as to what we think. It's really okay to have an opinion. It really is. I got my hand spanked for an opinion a couple weeks ago. And I was like, and? So, River Spirit, to the people you talk to around your area, what do they think happened to Summer?
It's mixed. Everybody I've talked to, it's mixed. I've talked to some people who absolutely believe they had nothing to do with it, think they're being attacked, they're being targeted. And then others are like me. They just want this kid found. and, or find out, and help for these boys.
Mm-hmm.
But there's no way. I don't care who you are. If you just start seeing the stuff on Facebook and YouTube like I am, there's no way you can say these children were in a good environment.
No.
And I'm not saying I'm mother of the year by no means.
Oh,
but
hell.
I was
I'm not talking about you. I'm talking about myself. I'm not saying you're not. I'm saying me.
But I mean, I was a single mom for most of my children's lives, and they had it definitely a lot easier than that. So I pray that these kids will be happy and safe and blessed. But I pray that they'll find out what happened to Summer, because this is going on 4 years, and just nothing.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, the Earth has gone around the sun, or the sun has gone around the Earth. However, people look at it. The last 4 years, and we have a comment I need to look at. But first, I got to say, congratulations, new members. Because hey, it's Pat K, who we also have hashtag WWPD has gifted membership. So if you got a membership, say thank you to Pat K. Okay, so we do not know who gave the tip to Jason. Adoptionscams.com said, catching up, I'm wondering if it is Sonia and Don
that gave the tip.
I don't know who gave the tip, but when they said turn your brother in, maybe what Jason is saying is Sonia needs to turn Dawn in. We don't know. Again, we won't know until we hear.
That's a possibility. You also have to think, they're pretty conniving. They may have turned a tip in just to try to get everybody off of their trail.
Mm-hmm. We don't know. We have zero idea. Unnamed true crime. I'm going to put the link down if you could come up. We need a little bit more information.
Brooks, I'm going to jump off of here, and it's been great. I appreciate it. I'm going to go take care of the air conditioning people.
You better. And don't forget, we have a huge members live on Thursday, so grab you a membership, girlfriend. You're going to love it.
Awesome. I sure will. Thank you.
The walls still hold the echoes of their song. Broken hearts beating, but the love feels gone. They took all our children, left us to fall. Empty cribs haunt the silence of it all. In the cold wind we stand, we scream and we cry, but no one's returning, no reason why. The trees still grow, though their swings don't sway. The birds keep singing, but it feels so great. The river runs quiet like it heard our plea, but it sweeps away hope carried to the sea. The nights are cruel, stars hanging in shame. Every shadow whispers their broken names. A crack in the earth, a scar in the land. Yeah, together we'll rise, though we can't understand. They took all our children, forced us to fall. Empty cribs haunt the silence of it all. In the cold wind we stand, we scream and we cry, but no one's returning, no reason why.
Now, based on media accounts, did they really look for Summer? And trigger warning, this, the words of this song, exactly, Kat took the words out of my mouth, are cringe AF. Summer possibly was stolen. Possibly, or like Daisy used to say, stolen. But the boys were removed with cause. Hey, Dallas.
The nights are cruel stars hanging in shame. Every shadow whispers their broken names. A crack in the earth, a scar in the land. Yet together we'll rise, though we can't understand.
How can you not understand? When they came to get your 3 sons in July of 2021, and they had a whole laundry list of why they were being removed and told you exactly what you need to do to get them back, and you did none of it, except for take money from people that are probably worse off than you, from what I've seen, to fix your shit up. How many ex-friends do they have that were putting in porches, staircases, floating tile, painting, you name it, whatever, cleaning up that jungle they have out there? They had a whole laundry list. What did they not do? Well, we know in November of 2021, Don wasn't complying with the parenting plan because he got another DUI. Lisa Durr, my girl, said, I will never forget Pruitt saying Summer's case bleeds into the CPS case. That's all I need to know. That's always been one of the most confusing statements we have had in this case. For real. And then you get to the district attorney that spoke out a couple of years ago, and he had some words of wisdom. Now, I kind of think that this DA should put a little bit more pressure on detectives. He should put a lot more pressure on the social workers at CPS. By the way, I don't know what side of the fence you guys lean on, and I don't want to get political, but when I heard about this whole thing in LA and how they actually want counselors to go out to talk to these people as opposed to law enforcement getting them off the street, I just about shit and fell back in it. You tell me what you think.
Summer Wells continues tonight. That's the Hawkins County girl who's now been missing for nearly 10 months.
Tonight, for the first time, we're hearing from District Attorney General Dan Armstrong.
Obviously, this is an old clip. Just Me said, stop it. You're joking. Nope. Nope. Nope.
Strong about his role in the investigation into what happened to the missing 6-year-old Summer Wells.
On the night of June 15th, District Attorney General Armstrong called in the TBI to help with the search efforts for Summer Wells. Now, almost 10 months later and no real developments, this case is unlike anything he's ever worked before.
The sheriff will contact other law enforcement agencies, and but under the way the TBI is set up, I have to make the formal request for the TBI. So the sheriff, when in this particular case, he had called and asked for help from all the agencies, and then called me, and I asked the TBI to get involved.
Okay. Really important. Really important. He's explaining how the TBI is set up. They can't just put themselves into the middle of a situation. The DA in Tennessee has to make the call to the TBI, and then from there, they can escalate it to the FBI or whoever else they think they're going to need. It doesn't work that way in every state, and I'm not saying that their system is bad. It seems to work for them. They have many, many, many successful cases. Every state does it different. You know, different strokes for different folks.
Long-spanning search for Summer Wells can feel like a blur, but the night of June 15th is clear as day, just as the call to issue an Amber Alert on the 16th.
An Amber Alert is where a child is missing from either the person that's supposed to have legal custody of them or their parents. And so we put out the Amber Alert to alert everybody, including citizens. If you have a cell phone, your phone will go off on Amber Alerts. So you can be on the lookout and help us spot this child if the child happens to show up in your area.
No one has been charged in relation to Summer's disappearance.
Well, hey, welcome back, Jason. Thank you for the terrific work you do on these cases. What's up, Avery?
I brought him.
Hi.
Good deal. Hey,
He
how
said
busy?
he
How busy?
only has a minute.
That's okay.
Yeah, I only have a minute. I have a busy Monday.
All right. Well, you made the internet busy this weekend because it blew up. We would love to know about this tip. I know you can't tell us. Is there any little morsel you could give us?
Well, I mean, I can't really give you the substance of the tip, but I can land some details why I find the tip to be credible. You know, I've been doing this stuff for 16 years. I'm a co-founder of the Cold Case Coalition. We have a program called the Missing Coalition, and we're a nonprofit. So for me to get a tip on a case is not a big surprise. I get tips all the time. This particular tip called me because he saw me, you know, do a couple of past interviews concerning Summer Wells. So he wanted to get me this information because he, as he put it, it doesn't trust the locals, you know, whatever that means. I don't press people on their ways of thinking, but you know, I'm used to that there's a certain section of the population that either has had a bad experience with law enforcement or doesn't, you know, trust or like them for whatever variety of reasons. So he wanted to give the information to me, an outsider. So you know, and he wanted to remain anonymous. Obviously, if he directed the police, if he directed his information to the police directly, his name is known. And there's reasons for that. Sometimes they're part of an inner circle. Sometimes the people that they're given a tip on are dangerous. In a small community such as Rogersville, it wouldn't be a surprise if, you know, once the information came out, they would know who called in the tip and they'd be, you know, in some kind of danger. So given the nature of the case, when he called, I recognized the number, well, you know, the number registered on my caller ID as a Rogersville call. So that part's credible. And then the accent of the individual had a thick Appalachian accent, which, you know, clearly means he's from that part of the country rather than if he had a New Jersey accent or, you know, Minnesotan. It came across as viable. And then when he gave the information that he did, I understand why he was concerned about these two brothers and why it was relevant to call it in.
Mhm.
So I notified TBI this morning.
Okay, so it's two brothers, not brother and sister.
No, I don't know where that comes from.
Oh, just speculation, people wondering.
Yeah. No, two brothers.
Two brothers. Okay. Um, well, thank you for the good work and calling in the tip. And
Yeah.
let's see how this shakes out. I mean,
Yeah, all we can do now is wait, right?
for real. Yeah, we would love for them to go live, every 30 minutes and say this is what we're working on. But that would be a futile. That would be a futile way to spend your time, because you can't exactly get your job done if you're letting the public know what you know.
Right.
I tell
And there's reasons for me posting stuff online. I mean, I got a lot of, hateful comments about being a con or that I had nefarious or selfish reasons for posting stuff. But mind you, if this is a valid tip and it's third parties that are responsible for her disappearance, this family has gone through hell over this.
Mm-hmm.
They've been vilified simply because of their home and their lifestyle or the conditions of the home. People pass judgment really quick, and it's like the thing that I recognize right off the bat is they had no reason to open up their house and show their skeletons in their closet except for their honesty. And I'm a criminal profiler and a criminologist. I have a master's degree in it. So when I see people open up the way they did, they have nothing to hide. They're looking for answers. They're in a lot of pain, and they don't care what kind of scrutiny that they receive. And they've already passed polygraphs.
Yeah, they passed the polys.
So leave them alone. Let's go find out what really happened to her. Stop turning back at the family as if they have something to do with it. They've been searched. They've been scrutinized. They've been interviewed. What more can they do to display their sincerity when they say they had nothing to do with it, and when they express just the same level of confusion that the rest of the community has? We don't know what happened to her, neither do they. If they knew, they wouldn't be asking for help.
Well, can I ask you this, and this is from a outside looking in public perspective. Do you think that maybe the prank call on Mary made people think that they weren't, their integrity wasn't in the right place? Or when all the pedophilia came out, or the past criminal histories, or how they had lost children in other states, would make people think that possibly it wasn't
Right.
a good life for the children. And CPS taking the kids.
Well, all those are valid points, but they create a bias, right? And if you're looking to blame the family, it's called confirmation bias. But just because, oh, I don't know, I ate spaghetti today doesn't mean I always eat spaghetti, right? Sometimes people have bad pasts. They learn from their mistakes. They move on. Human condition is dynamic. People can change. It's hard to change bad habits, but people do change. And sometimes it takes a life-altering moment, like the loss of your children, to make a difference. We shouldn't throw stones in glass houses. So let's find Summer. That's the paramount issue at hand, not whether we should judge the parents for one thing or another. When I spoke to Don, he came across as very genuine.
Oh, okay.
I felt like his position was very heartfelt, and he was appreciative for anything that anyone could do. So I was just honored that the guy called me so that I could share the tip with him before I could get a hold of authorities today. So I wish him the best. I wish his family the best. You know, Godspeed, and let's pray for them. Let's see if this is a good tip. Ultimately, over time, tips always come in. They're vetted. Many of them are false leads. Some are fueled by, suspicion or paranoia, or, just odd circumstances surrounding the situation. They don't always pan out. But if this one does, and I say if, I'm not saying I'm God's gift to humanity, but if it's a good tip, let's hope it gets somewhere. And we hope it doesn't waste TBI's time. So that's all I have to say is I hope it was a good tip. The
And
guy that called
that's
in.
another thing. That's another thing. People forget about what our law enforcement goes through. They look
Yeah,
at this.
they have to go through every tip, and they've received thousands, is what I understand. So they have to go through the painstaking effort of vetting every one of them. And then they assign it to a detective. They have to do follow-up. They have to go through the pains and rigors of just trying to validate whether a claim is genuine or not. And in the age of social media, you could get 1,000 tips of the same crazy circumstance, and it's just fueled by misunderstanding or misimpression. Like I was accused of some vile stuff last night on a YouTube channel.
That's crazy.
And the guy didn't even reach out to me beforehand with my number posted to question me first. He just had an agenda to go out there and spread lies, just clickbait. But hey, you can't stop idiots from being idiots.
No, that's true. I just think that the public's perception, it seemed to me that many people were under the impression that she was in the woods somewhere.
No, that's entirely possible. Bear in mind, they live in the woods. If this was a wander off, that's where you would search.
Well, now
But
TBI ruled that out, and TBI ruled out, well, actually, the FBI card unit ruled out Summer being abducted. And that's the reason.
that's not entirely true. If they knew, they'd already know. They're suspecting not an abduction, but it doesn't mean that. I mean, this tip is an abduction, so they can be wrong. Until you know, you don't know. That's really the philosophy behind cold case investigations. The reason why cold cases turn cold is because of narrow-minded, fixated belief.
Mhm.
Until you know what the outcome is, you have to keep an open mind, and that means all the possibilities within reason. I mean, alien abduction, let's rule it out off the bat because
There you
that
go.
would be unreasonable.
And I
But
think, and listen, we're not here to, what we do is we report on what the parents have said, and they have put themselves out there quite a bit. But
right, which they'd either have to be the most sophisticated criminals or the dumbest. But they're so open, it's clearly displays their genuineness. They're authentic people. They're obviously impoverished. They don't, they're not the most kept people given, the videos that have been done by Chris McDonough walking through. I thought that was a shame, posting, all the skeletons in their closets. It's like, no, interview, get an answer. You don't have to do a walkthrough and shame them the way that I've seen them vilified. It's not necessary to find a missing girl.
how would you have treated it differently had you gotten the interviews with Dawn and Candace?
Why not put them in a nice aesthetic setting like a conference room at a hotel with good lighting, give them some refreshments, build a rapport, have their barriers come down, walk them through the timeline leading up to the moment, have them explore their theories, the possibilities that run through their minds. Are they familiar with any bad characters or have any suspects? That's what I do, and it's a successful formula. There's a reason why the Cold Case Coalition exists.
Well, and I mean, Dr. Phil and the behavioral panel tried that, and Chris McDonough tried that. And I don't know, it just didn't go well. I mean, we saw Candace saying she was being asked simple questions and she started pulling off wires saying she wanted to go home. And Don told me himself that it was all he could do to force her to go, and that TBI was pressing him because her timeline didn't make sense. Now,
Well,
when you talk to Don about this tip, was he surprised? Does he know who it is, or do you just tell him you can't tell him who it is?
I shared information with him, but I'm not going to go into to the details of reaction or anything. No.
Well, I really hope they get to the bottom of it, and I think you're doing a superb job, because let's face it, we get more bees with honey as opposed to just tearing every little thing apart.
Yeah, there's no reason to vilify a family that has, for the most part, been cleared. Polygraphs, openness, those are all clear signs of somebody that has nothing to hide.
That's true. And I think the vilification actually comes from not so much the way they live, because I mean, hell, my Uncle Charlie's house looks worse than this. I think it has to do with everything that came out with, Hunter, Jose, Mary, Jeannie, Rhonda. Some people just cannot. They're not going to excuse any sort of child abuse, whether past or present.
No, I have no comment on that. I'm not.
I don't blame you. I don't
I'm
blame
not
you.
I'm not up to my chin in their past. I'm looking to find a little girl.
Jason never really followed, Summer's case like we did on YouTube, so he doesn't know all the little, backstory type things. I tried to get him to look into Summer Wells' case years ago, but with all the drama surrounding it, he would only put out the tip if he felt like it could possibly, be legitimate.
Mm-hmm.
And that's another thing. People like to throw the word possible around. Possibles for, bookies at casinos. I deal with probabilities, and the odds are this tip is bigger than the odds are that the family has something to do with it. There's a reason why investigators use polygraphs as a tool. They go searching through homes, use canine dogs, search the area. There's no reason to continue to a focus on the family simply because of past bad acts. That's not how you conduct a genuine investigation. That's how you vilify someone falsely and drag along your confirmation bias. The way to work at it is keep an open, broad mind, take in tips, vet out the tips, see where the tip leads you.
Now, let me ask you a question, because you know more than me. So I'm a dumbass here. Okay, sorry for saying that, but I am.
She's not.
No,
She's
there's no
not.
reason to self-deprecate. There's no reason for that.
No, so
She's smart.
when detectives are interrogating, or someone gets picked up and they check to see their past criminal behavior, don't they use that as a way to see, is this possible today, since they've done it before?
It can be, but it's not foolproof.
Nope, I'm not saying that.
Right. But that's what profiling is all about. You look at past acts to see if it's a predictor for future activity. A predictor, but like I said, not everybody stays the same. You can age out of criminality. You can have an epiphany. You can change your lifestyle from, like, say, atheist to faithful. There's different things in life that change your perspective. You get a diagnosis from your doctor, you better stop drinking alcohol or you're going to die of liver cirrhosis. there's things that cause people to change. So it's not always, like you will never change. Well, why do we have counseling? Why do we have therapists? Why do we have jail? Why do we have deterrence? No, you cannot just black and white people based on their past. It's just not fair to them, and it's not an effective way to conduct investigations. It's foolish.
Now, I have a question for you. Whether you can answer it or not is totally understandable. When Don said last year on the 3-year anniversary of Summer's disappearance, and he said that he hasn't talked to law enforcement in a year. Okay, so I understand they have opened themselves up to social media. Have they opened themselves up to the police? When Ronnie Lawson in 2022 said no, they're not cooperating. So I mean,
I don't know. I
are
don't
we?
know where you're going with the question. I don't.
No, I'm
I
just
don't have an answer.
okay. You don't want to answer it. I don't blame you. You don't have to. It's fine.
Well, I mean, I don't have an answer. I don't know how to answer that question because you're asking me about other people's state of mind or their availability. I don't know.
Mhm.
I just got a tip on Saturday. I'm addressing a 48-hour role so far. I don't have a role in this case.
Yeah,
Well,
he really did not follow the case. Like,
Well, and I'm not going to judge people, from social media. That's third party at best. I deal with people face to face. I don't interpret, people's characterizations online. It's doesn't matter to me what people think. I don't spread lies from opinions.
no. I'm going off the facts. Ronnie Lawson said they're not cooperating, and that's the sheriff of Hawkins County. And I agree with you about social media. And I've taken a huge step back because I've been watching the Sebastian Rogers case. And I mean, everything that people are putting out negates what law enforcement has been saying. And it just kind of seems like some people, now don't get me wrong, there's a lot of smart people out there, but there are some people that can't see the forest for the trees and will not listen at all to what law enforcement's saying.
Law enforcement are human beings with a badge. I don't see where that has any weight in this conversation other than they have a job to do.
Well, and their job is to get the evidence, present it to the DA, and
In
get
this
justice.
case, there is no evidence. There was never any forensics to explore. This child disappeared without explanation. It's a mystery, just like Sebastian Rogers is a mystery. So when there's a mystery afoot, you have to keep an open mind.
Right.
And there's typologies given different age brackets why people go missing. For someone Summer's age, we'll classify her in a toddler area. They're either wander-offs, abductions, or death and concealments. If it's teenagers, it's runaway, abduction, or death and concealment. If it's an adult, it's voluntary, without explanation. It is an abduction or a death and concealment. So we don't know why she's not there. If you believe families like people are supposed to, because you can't tell if someone's being honest or not. You have to vet it out uh, by corroborating their stories. And I'm not talking about Summer's parents. I'm talking about any missing child. You always get a story. You don't know if it's a truthful story, but you ask for a timeline. Okay, where did you last see her? What was the location? What was going on at the time? Was there other people? What were you doing before the disappearance? Where were you coming from? Was there anything odd about the last interactions with so and so? Or, you vet out their activities to try and shed some light on what could have happened. Okay, so you were here at the house. Okay, was there any footprints? Did you hear any sounds? And you don't know if they're telling you the straight story about being at the house. Remember the two two boys in California that went missing, Orson Welles and Orrin Welles. There was no footprints in the yard, so they concluded the kids weren't even at that residence. I mean, but
And
they
the
got a
parents,
story.
and the parents are in jail.
Yeah, and they ended up in jail over it because their story did not make sense, and the police built a case against them, and they were prosecuted.
Mm-hmm. Well,
but there was times like in Madeleine McCann's case, the parents were blamed, and then they were eventually cleared.
That never made any sense to me. I thought from the beginning they had nothing to do with it.
Right.
I mean,
and in John Benet Ramsey's case, they were accused of having something to do with the death of John Benet. And eventually in 2008, Mary Lacey cleared them because of the DNA. So, sometimes parents get falsely accused. There's no reason to not keep an open mind and think there's another explanation for this child to go missing other than blaming the parents. The parents were, cleared, in my opinion, based on the polygraphs. I don't think they're sophisticated enough to lie their way through a polygraph.
Well, according to Ronnie Lawson, they aren't cleared.
Well, because you can't clear everything, right? There's always, quote unquote, the possibility. But probability is pretty strong that they had nothing to do with it because they've done this and they've done that and they've done that.
Hey, Jason,
or they'd be in jail right now if they were, high on the probability list.
Jason, your appointment is in 7 minutes, just to remind you.
All right, yeah, I better run.
Oh, he's got an appointment. Thank you so much, Jason. Everybody, big round of applause for Jason Jensen. Thank you for the amazing work and keeping Summer's name out there.
Thank you for having me.
Anytime, my friend. Anytime.
I'll talk to you in a little bit.
All right. Thanks. Take care.
Hey, Ava, thank you so much.
You're welcome. He's in work mode. He's,
I would too if I got a tip like that.
Well, he's working on other stuff too, but I think, because some people they've been coming at him really, really hard. And
well, that's called social media. All he can do is turn the tip in and say, I'm not going to sit here and focus on these parents when this is the tip. I'm just not going to do it.
Yeah. And he gets tips all the time. He's only going to put it out if he feels like it could be legitimate. And I mean, I know what the tip is, and it's, I think it's very, very, it could be very possible that this could be it.
Where is Prayer Garden? I see she's in the chat. Prayer Garden, do you have time to grab the link? While she's grabbing the link, I'm going to go back to what the district attorney had to say.
But that doesn't mean the district attorney isn't involved.
My role basically is just to be an advisor as any legal issues that may come up during the search, who to talk to, how to go about doing that. I am kept briefed periodically, not every day, but periodically, and just available to provide any legal assistance that I can.
As law enforcement is flooded with tips and the seasons change, small-scale searches have taken place in the Beach Creek area.
We follow leads as they come in.
Hey, boy, mama, you hang on. You have a lot of background noise, so you called TBI. What'd they say?
So I spoke with two different people, actually, in TBI, and they are saying that Dawn and Candace have not been cleared. Absolutely 100% have not been cleared. And the first woman I spoke to, she was like, well, she says, you know what? I'm just going to go ahead and send you over to my superior and you can speak with them in the missing persons unit. And they said the same thing. They said, in fact, they have said no one has been cleared. Absolutely no one has been cleared.
Okay.
So, yeah, I mean, I take that for what you will, I guess. But they were very adamant that this is a very active investigation and no one's been cleared. They don't have enough information to clear anyone at this point.
Yeah, they don't. Okay, so let's get back to what the DA said.
And so at this point, you're basically down to just following whatever leads come in and following up, maybe trying to backtrack and do some things you did before to see if anything comes of it.
The most recent ground surge back in February didn't.
Okay, that's another February. All right, I didn't mean to cut you off, boy mama.
Oh, you're okay. But yeah, they speaking with, the two women there at TBI, you can just tell, especially with them as well, they're mothers and, they feel the same way we all feel. Angry, pissed off that this little girl has not been found and that there are no answers.
Okay.
Now, I've called into TBI before just to try to get an update, but I think it was like last summer. And I spoke with a man. He was a bit more annoyed to have somebody calling in, but I get it. Like, they get a lot of people that, they call them because they hear something on YouTube or they see something online. And, he was more irritated, but, these women were more understanding and they're like, this is, it's keeping her name out there. However, the facts need to be facts. We can't be out here saying that mom and dad have been cleared when they have not. Because no one has. And, who all have they looked at besides just mom and dad? There's a pretty long list, I would imagine, right?
Oh, I think there's a laundry list of people they've been looking at. And just because a case isn't solved quick doesn't mean it can't be solved. I mean, look at Delphi.
Oh, exactly. Exactly.
Look at Laura Bible and Ashley Freeman. That
Yep.
took 15 freaking years.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. I don't know. It's sad that, and not to say anything about the man that you just had on there. Hey, he's taking it seriously is what it sounds like. And, a tip is a tip and he's going to investigate it and that's fine. That's great. Hopefully something comes of it and they're able to get more information out there. But, I think like with me, and I noticed some other people in the chat is, and I know you as well, Brooks, we get frustrated when people are putting information out there that isn't correct because it's like, well, you gotta claim the facts. It's one thing to feel something because we all do. We're humans. We have emotions. But when it comes to a missing little girl, we've got to keep those facts out there. And it's important that mom and dad haven't been cleared. Nobody has. And I can't say that enough. These women were very adamant. No one has been cleared.
Well,
This is
it's a
very active investigation and nobody has.
If it's a legit tip, they will figure it out.
Yes, I'm sure they will. I'm sure that they probably have people calling multiple times a day. And I can guarantee that probably not all callers are polite about it either.
Well, I hope not. I hope
there's a missing little girl. I mean, and it's just so sad. What is it? It's going to be 4. Is it 4 years?
Yeah, it'll be 4 years this weekend.
Yeah.
And, as a private investigator, he should take the tip and he should turn it into TBI and go forward with it. All right, I'm going to put you back because you got some background noise. Thanks for coming up, baby.
Weight has been lifted off your shoulders. There's really no way to explain, especially if if hours and hours and even years of hard work has gone into a case. Also, along those same lines, when a case remains unsolved, like for instance, the Summer Wells case, that's extremely hard because there's nothing that we want more than to solve a case, especially involving a child. And it's hard not having the answers, or being close to maybe discovering something and just knowing that we just need a little bit more information to resolve a certain situation. So there's nothing better than seeing a case solved and seeing justice served. But at the same time, it's also extremely hard for those cases where we haven't seen justice served yet.
Right. Yeah, you mentioned Summer Wells, so I did want to ask any updates on that case from your perspective or from the TBI standpoint, or?
Well, I'm glad you asked. It is still an open and active investigation. I think most people think that the case has gone cold, but that's not true. We still have agents working on it constantly. We follow up on any new information that comes in. I can say that we've been following up on information that we've received in the last few months. So it is very much an active investigation, and we will not give up.
Yeah, well, that's great to hear.
And it's time. Okay. I mean, that's what, Leslie from TBI said. Before, she said this is absolutely a criminal investigation because we can't rule out foul play. We have ruled out abduction, and we have ruled out her wandering off for many reasons. However, this tip that Jason has received, and remember, Avery that was up here with him has said he didn't follow it from before. So he's only going off what he was told. The best thing to do is turn in the tip. Okay? That's the best thing to do. Me personally, I just can't forgive the pedophilia. They want to keep their house dirty as shit. Hey, fine. Hey, fine. I didn't sweep my floor all weekend. However, you're talking about a behavior, and they both have it. We went through the whole recording of Andrew talking to CPS about what happened to Hunter. All right, let's look at this. This is from the lab. This is one of another updates that Dawn was giving us.
Dawn Wells.
How's it going?
It's all right. How are you?
I'm all right. Just getting off work, relaxing.
Yeah. What is it that you said that I was lying about?
I'm not necessarily calling you a liar or anything, Josh. I'm just these kind of things create a mob type atmosphere, and people jump on. They jump into conclusions. I don't know if you can remember when all this first went down. And we had the psychics, we had the fake search teams. It was like a whirlwind of drama. It was bad. It was bad. I wished I could explain or express what it was like around my house when all this first started happening. It was absolutely horrific.
Hey, Don B. Don B said, just be patient and let this play out. Police will get to the bottom of it. It could be someone that just made something up and called Jason Jensen, and it could be the real deal. We don't know. Prayer Garden said, and it sounds like he knows it because he didn't want to talk about that tip. No, and I don't blame him for that. I'm telling you right now, no way would I want to talk about it. I would prefer it to be true so we can get to the bottom of what happened to Summer. It is funny that every year at the week of Summer's disappearance anniversary, something explodes. Normally, we can count on Jody Sue. Okay, let's face it. Normally, we can. We can plan on her to do something.
We were trying to talk to the police. The police weren't believing anything we were saying, and I knew that my daughter had been taken. And I was trying to express that to the police, and they was just eyeballing me like, yeah, right, kind of thing. And, just questioning, lots of questioning. We didn't sleep probably for 3 days because we were so worried sick for Summer that, knowing that she's just crying or being hurt or whatever, so you got those kind of emotions going on. And then they want us to do the lie detector test thing. And we spent 2 days doing that, and it was just.
Okay, right there, Dawn is lying. I'm telling you right now, Dawn is lying. You're not going to be hooked to a lie detector for 2 days. No, no, no. And by the way, you don't even have to take one. That is insane. Now, we do know that Candace couldn't take the first one because she was too upset. And then she had to go back. But she had other things going on in the meantime. We know that Candace had to go and intimidate Hunter and Allie to ask why actually asking what did they talk to TBI about. So spending 2 days, that's quite the exaggeration.
Pure hell all the way around. And then, it was just mass confusion also, really, because we had not only the police, we had first responders there, and that's what kind of choked up Beach Creek and Ben Hill Road. You couldn't even get in or out there for a good while for that night. You couldn't get in or out of our place. It was just so packed with, God bless them. They wanted to find our little girl. They was doing everything they could to help find her, but it was really mass confusion.
Well, and I don't disagree that it's been a nightmare for you. I completely agree with that. But when you're saying stuff like, the other day you said something during you were on a rant and you said that, you asked CPS or welfare to come take your kids. I mean, that's that's not how it works.
If I said that, I don't know why if I said that, it's not accurate. Okay. If I said that, that's not the truth, because the truth of the matter is, we had a case. They were.
Are you still under a gag order?
Yeah. I mean, we're not supposed to talk about the boys, as far as where they're at.
Okay. Yeah, we're not supposed to talk about the boys and where they're at. Yet on the Find Summer Wells page, he is reaching out to Josie. Don B said, I do have some new real info, though. Fred Hill wasn't the only one police had recording Don and Candace. Okie doke. Don B, if you want to grab the link and come up, come on up. Remember, this is for Summer.
What's going on or whatever. I mean, I don't know exactly, but I suppose. I mean, yeah, we're supposed to be really careful, but we sit in our house for 3 or 4 days. The police parked right outside our door every night. you know, and I'd go out and offer them coffee or whatever, and we weren't sleeping. We were not sleeping. But, you know, and I was sitting there in my house miserable, and I didn't know what to do. And I made the grave mistake of going online, thinking I can't go physically go out there and search everybody's home. So I thought, well, you know, I've heard good things about social media. Maybe that would be the best thing to do to try to help find her. Well, that turned into a complete nightmare. Yeah, we got her picture out there, and I'm thankful for that. I'm thankful for everybody sharing, you know, her pictures everywhere and stuff. But people have attacked us. We have all these conspiracy theories going on. And people, it was so bad. And so many people, it was crazy, and it still is, that would befriend us and act like they're our friend, they support us and everything, just to turn on us. And
Betty Smith said it takes 2 to 3 hours for polygraph per person. And a lot of that waiting has to do with waiting on the results. They're only going to ask a handful of questions. Normally it's 3 or 4. And the first one is your name, I'll say Betty Smith, 'cause she's up here, is your birthday? And then they ask a few more questions. And then you sit and you wait.
blast everything we say, record everything we say. And it's been going like that for 2 years, still is
Right.
today.
Right.
You know?
Well, but the only reason that that's happening is because your daughter's missing.
Right. Yeah,
And
I get
she's
that.
been missing for 2 years.
Right.
And the police haven't even said, well, you know, this is our theory with a suspect. And
Yeah,
by
they
the way,
have.
Don, well, Don, they said that, hey, if we find out, like, if there is an abduction, we'll tell you guys if that develops, but it never did develop. It's never developed.
Yeah, they have absolutely nothing. There's nothing.
Or they have
Well,
everything, right?
Well, the only thing they've got as far as evidence is the dog trail. The dog that went down the dog trail. That's the only evidence that I'm aware of.
But I've been told that the dog trail's not accurate either.
No, the dogs went up and down the dog trail. The boys went up and down the dog trail. Ronnie Lawson made it clear the dog stopped at the end of the driveway. Unless they have more evidence now, that's the last that I know of. Don B, grab the link and come up. True Crime Lullaby said, is he shirtless? Uh-huh.
I don't know. Well, I mean, there's a chance, you know, who knows?
Don is in this clip. I'm not saying Don Wells is in this clip. I'm not saying Don B is.
Yeah, I mean, I don't understand. That's what I'm saying, is that I don't understand. Look, if we're thinking about this logically, and I'm not saying that you're not, but what I'm saying is Candace says she's outside helping her mother.
Right.
And that somebody snuck up on the property and took Summer.
Well, that's what we're assuming because she just disappeared. They didn't see anybody. They didn't see anything. They didn't hear anything. All that they know is that she was gone. You know, and also you got to think about this, Josh. The boys were the last ones to see Summer. They were upstairs when Candace brought her in. She assumed that they were going to look after her, you know, and that everything was fine. We've never had no problems up there before. You know, nothing like anything. I mean, we've never had any problems. Maybe a few things missing, people stealing stuff at night, you know, and that's, I mean, we've had gas come up missing and other various things come up missing. People.
Don, are you 100% sure that you guys aren't going to face charges?
I'm pretty 100% sure, yeah. If I do
That you'll face no charges when it comes to Summer's disappearance or the boys being taken?
What kind of charges? I mean, no.
I don't know. I mean,
what kind of charges? No, what would we be charged with?
well, I mean, if your children get taken, there has to be a pretty high like a high threshold that the judge signs off on. So, you know, it's either neglect, abuse, or, you know, if there's a couple other things, imminent danger. I mean,
well, the danger was there was a lot going on. And people sneaking up on our property in the middle of the night, and all kinds of things. You had the psychics down there almost get into a gunfight on our bottom property.
But that wouldn't be why CPS would take children.
A gunfight on the property, people stealing things. You know, I don't know what on earth Dawn's been watching. That's not the reason that they took the boys, and it's not the reason that they wanted to body map Summer. Okay, so yeah, I get where Jason's coming from, because he's just reporting tip. He doesn't care. But before Dawn B comes up and we finish this, our girl Sleuth Station had a birthday over the weekend, a little birdie told me. So everybody get your singing voices together, and let's please tell her happy birthday. Happy birthday, girlfriend. I hope it was the best ever. Gunfights in the driveway, people stealing stuff. Then, dude, why didn't you do something? Tell you what, if somebody stole from me one time, I'd have ADT and the police here. It wouldn't happen again. He makes it sound like it's like a major crime going on at his house for years and years.
Well, I mean, they got involved. As soon as Summer come up missing, they pulled up and said that they had to open a case because of Summer's disappearance. I don't know how all that works. I know nothing about CPS. I wish I did. If looking back, I would have thrown them off the property and told them to get lost.
CPS.
Yes. Now I know better. I wouldn't allow them even on my property.
But if they come with a court order, right, you can't stop them.
No, well, they didn't come with a court order. Welfare. You have the right to tell them. You have the right to tell them get the hell out of your house. They're not coming in your door.
I've heard that. Yeah, I've heard that.
Candace did. June 14th. And they said, we're coming back. And we have to see Summer. And we want a body mapper. However, if they have an order from a judge, there's nothing you can do. Sorry, nothing. They open a case? I would hope so. If a child's missing, I would hope they would.
And if you don't exercise your rights, you're just screwing yourself. But, I was kind of willing to work with them, thinking, well, these are nice people. They're, I was a dumbass. And yeah, I let them take my kids. I let them when I could have kept them. Yes, I was a dumbass.
How?
I pretty much let them take them because I didn't know how to tell them to go to hell. They're not taking my kids. But it was a bad situation.
Dawn doesn't know how to tell people to go to hell? What? Huh? What are you talking about? We've heard Dawn tell people to go to hell and more. We've heard it all. He didn't know how to tell them to go to hell. What? Since when, Dawn? Since when you don't know how to tell people? How about this, Dawn?
No, I have 7 alibis. I have 7 alibis. Candace ain't going down. She's going down. You were at work, right? 7 alibis. Candace ain't going down. She's going down. You were at work.
All right. He said he didn't have the nerve. Okie doke. Okie doke.
In my house, it was. We had all kinds of stuff going on, and we had these YouTubers creating the mob type atmosphere, and people coming at our house. You seen it, Bullhorn Betty and all them at the bottom of our driveway screaming,
Sure.
and this stuff's been going on for a long time. Out at my job site, at my boss's house, everywhere. Just constantly harassing everybody everywhere. You know, they was online with my boss's wife and everything else. And it was everybody. And everybody either jumped on board with this mob to attack us in every way. And yeah, I felt after Summer's disappearance, I was in my mind, I'm thinking, what's next? What's going to happen next? And I felt there was danger. It was dangerous for my boys. It absolutely was dangerous. And yes, so I was willing to, yeah, I didn't want them at my house at that time. It was dangerous, bro, for reals.
Okay, well, I'm not disputing that, but so this thing that Kathy puts out today, this text between
Right.
Candace and Kathy,
Right.
is that accurate?
Well, let me just say this, okay? Look, I'm just a drywaller. I don't make tons of money. I don't, man. I'm sorry. I went to college, you know. I've been in prison. I spent my time in prison, though, as wisely as I could, and I stayed.
Okay, before we go into Don's Harvard days, because he went to college, I told him to take them. Why didn't you follow the parenting plan, and why did you sign them over? I'm just a drywaller. I don't make a ton of money. Raise your hand in chat. Don't make me feel bad. Who makes a ton of money? All the money in the world. That I've just got so much money, I'm rolling in it. Remember, Don was given 11 acres. He's land poor. That is for sure. Don has a house that he's had many, 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 many years to fix up. So this whole, I don't make a bunch of money. He even talks about how the kids want to play football, basketball, stuff like that. How many of you, I'm talking about boys right now, have had to rob Peter to pay Paul in your monthly budget to buy, let's say, a band instrument? I have. How many have said, okay, I got to wait a couple of weeks to put my child in football? Hold on, I got to wait a little bit to get the new school shoes because the kids all want different Nikes and stuff. Don has no bills. None. None. Remember those damn soccer pictures? Where you're sitting there thinking, damn, you're really charging me $50 for these goddamn soccer pictures? And on top of that, Don and Candace got a shit ton of money during the COVID days. Think about how much they got per child. Where did it go? They didn't fix up their house. But hey, I'm not getting into their financial situation. My thing with parents has always been, if you've got money for alcohol and drugs, you've got money for your kids. And if you don't, then you're a goddamn failure.
In college the whole time I was in prison, but the guards would not let me graduate. They would move me around and I'd have to go to a different college. So I have all kinds of college credit in different colleges, but I don't have a degree in anything.
Yeah.
I went to 4 different colleges.
Okay. Gotcha.
He went to 4 different colleges in jail. Okay. In jail. All right. Like Adam Montgomery. And I'm not comparing Adam to Don. I'm comparing the jail situation. When Adam was bragging about how he got that GED when he was in jail, I'm like, okay, super duper. Super duper. We got Leilani Simon, Lazy. She got her GED in jail and she's going to college. Man, I'll tell you what. Trump better make up with Elon and bring him back because we got to fucking shut that shit down. I about had it with that bullshit. Getting real ridiculous around here. Fucking University of goddamn County Jail.
And, but I don't make great money.
Well, I saw you. I saw on Candace's channel. I saw you. I mean, you obviously have been doing it for a long time. You do great work, but
yeah, but it's not enough money to do much of anything, though.
I can understand that.
But the thing of it is where the boys are at. They're doing. These people got money.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I don't know how much money I don't know a whole lot about them.
They get $1,750 a month to house your children, Don. Okay? Waylon and Wyatt. Josie's in a group home, according to you, because of behavioral issues. Now, you don't know how to manage your money, or you don't care. Let's take a poll. What is it? Is it because they just don't have any money? Or because they just don't give a shit? Could you imagine Candace when the kids get home from school saying, I've got to be at football practice at 4:30, and Candace is trashed in the yard? You think she's going to clean up real quick and say, oh yeah, I must get you to football practice? Or, Wyatt saying, hey, I'm joining basketball. I need to be there at 6:00. Candace trashed in the yard making a TikTok. You think she's going to jump up and do that? No. But he's saying these people make a lot of money. Okay. Well, 2 of the boys have been adopted. And as we know, Josie is looking for his, which breaks my heart, his forever home.
But I know that they're in basketball, football. They're doing great, Yeah. And I'm happy for them. I'm not mad. Yeah, I'm hurt in my heart. Yes. Yeah, but I'm happy that they're happy.
So it is. So the text is true.
I believe it is.
Yeah.
But yeah.
Well, I am sorry to hear about that.
Well,
honestly.
It's okay. I mean, it's just the way it's the way it is. I'm just, me and Candace are happy for them, and we're just, we're gonna do whatever is best for them, even if it hurts.
We're going to do whatever's best for them, even if it hurts. Have you ever heard of a, I'm going to go low level here and talk about social workers, okay? Have you ever heard of a social worker? I'm talking $45K a year, all right? Shuffling paperwork, going to do home visits, that have ever said that the nuclear family wasn't the best for children? Name one. It has to be grim. It has to be bleak to remove children. It really does. There is some, now there are some situations where kids should not be removed, and that is true, but they want reunification. Why? Because it's a drain on the system. And we know there's been so many children that have been put back into homes that they should have been kept out of. Look at Oakley Carlson. All right. Her parents did what they were supposed to do. And then they said she's missing because she got eaten by wolves. Now, that's part of what I would call the 1%. He said, you know, we're just happy for them. These people have money, and they're putting them in football and basketball. They got more money. Okay. So did you think about trying that? Did you think about that? Putting them in school activities?
Yeah. I mean, I can understand that, and also, you know, the whole piling on, and I get it all, but the problem with it all is all of that is taken care of. The boys are taken care of. You and Candace are, working, but Summer is still gone with no answers.
Right.
And you're saying, well, the cops have nothing, and I'm not even sure. Maybe they do, maybe they don't. But
they might have something. But if they had something, they would be all over it. You know what I mean? They'd have her. So we know they don't have nothing. I mean, let's be. I mean, blatantly honest or whatever. I mean, you know, if they had anything, they would have her, or they'd have other missing kids. There's so many missing kids. It's unbelievable.
Well, that is another question I have. So, you know, you say somebody, you know, that you're assuming that somebody stole or came up and took her off the property.
Yes, it's an assumption. Yes,
it's sure. Yeah, it definitely is, because you didn't see anybody.
Right.
But if that is the case, why wouldn't Olive Beach Creek be freaked out that there's somebody out there stealing kids?
I know, right? That's a good question. Yeah, I'm upset about a lot of different things and the way things played out. I'm really upset, but I don't want to sit here and put people on blast or anything like that and talk bad.
Yeah, Don doesn't put people on blast. He doesn't talk bad. The reason are not on high alert around the Beach Creek area is because they've already talked to law enforcement. They have gone door to door to door to door to door, having conversations, asking what they saw, and telling them there's really nothing going on. I mean, either she wandered off or there's some kind of foul play. Now, as far as who the two brothers are, or the person, I'll say the person that called the tip in, we do not know. We do not know. We don't know. There has been so much conversation in the last 4 years, and please keep it going, because Summer deserves to be found. Okay, she does. Has anyone thought that maybe Dawn, as far as Summer's disappearance, is in the dark? He says he has 7 alibis. I mean, I would think he would have more than that. I mean, you left for work, you checked into one job, you went to get lunch, you went to another job, you're on the phone with your boss throughout the day. I would think there'd be about, 15, 20. And I would hope to have an alibi if my child was missing. But he's like, I got 7 alibis. I got 7 alibis. He just doesn't ever ask the right questions of Candace. He wholeheartedly believes her. And I know for years people have said they're in on it together. They could be in on it together, but because of something else. And I will discuss that on Thursday when we do our members show. Because I don't want to say it publicly. But publicly, I damn sure will say, you guys are the absolute best. And after all this time, you've never given up on Summer Wells. Ever. Ever. You were so sweet. You were so kind to Jason and Avery today. Remember, he just got a tip. He's not the all-knowing, and you get more bees with honey. So he's not about to come on and trash Dawn, because then he's lost the connection. So y'all keep being the cool-ass people that you are. V. Oakley said, oh, hell yeah, a member show on Thursday. Yeah, it's my birthday. It's my birthday. I know I caught a ton of hell for talking to Brandon Shirtliff, to Stacy Wandra. People thought they even accused me of being in love with Stacy. And I was like, what? 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 Had Ernie on just to talk about his communications with Candace. That went downhill in a hurry. So we need the information, okay? And I don't defend suspects. I just let them talk for themselves. You guys are the absolute best. Don B skipped town. Man, that washing machine must be really loud. All right, you guys, I will see you back here tomorrow at 9 a.m. You guys are the absolute best. Thank you for being you. And hey, Mod Squad, I don't know how the hell you all kept this together, but you are truly champions. Don't forget, look at the screen. Don said he's going to be giving updates this week. Don't hold your breath, but we will see. Love you to pieces. See you tomorrow.